Bow down to the king of Shonen. This is the show where peak animation meets extraordinary characters, exceptional villains, beautiful side characters, competent and interesting protagonists, and mind-numbing action sequences. Have you ever been invited to a party where you drowned yourself in buckets and buckets of alcohol and went on a quest outside the house to some remote cave where you realized the meaning of life is found in disco lights of a nightclub, only to wake up with a giant dildo strapped to your forehead and with memory loss that would shock even Leonard from Memento? Well then I hope you always stay 500 kilometers away from a primary school and seek help, you fucking alcoholic, but that's essentially the vibe of Jujutsu Kaisen. You might be wondering two things right now. One is, where does my imagination come from, but joke's on you because I never said it was a fictional story. But two, doesn't a group of three characters called Yuji, Megumi, and Kugisaki following around an overpowered white-haired guy with a mask in a fantasy world of curses and unique cursed energies sound a little ripped off from the original Naruto franchise? Well actually, you blind bitch, there are clear differences between the series. For example, Yuji has an overpowered King of Curses demon evil Yuji lookalike thing inside of him, whereas Naruto has a nine-tailed, originally evil, later PG-13 fox inside of him. Also, whilst Megumi and Sasuke might kinda look alike, no one is going around shipping Kurama and Sasuke, so... In other words, there's definitely nothing similar about these two shows, and some dude definitely did not have Naruto in mind when creating this shit. Jujutsu Kaisen got me hooked right from the absolute start, and it's all because of the absolutely delicious legend known as Uncle Sukuna. I have never seen a bad guy I've rooted for more, because whilst I love seeing good guys doing good things like saving the world, okay fine, hate me, I find that generic shit absolutely cliched. What I really love is insane, overpowered, intelligent, savage, and just straight up evil characters doing edgy shit. Sukuna is pure evil. No charades, no facade, no nonsense, he's just egoistic, legendary, and his fight scenes make you get on your knees and suck off the animators until they bust some insane graphics into your eyeballs. Some said that these fights weren't even animated to their fullest extent and actually had budget/deadline issues, but come on, how could this shit actually be made better? I know I'm spending an unhealthy amount of time glazing Sukuna, but we rarely see spicy villains like this that are so well made, so let me glaze away until I can't anymore. You might be wondering what sets JK apart from all the other shows like this. Honestly, it's everything. I mean, imagine every dimension of an anime like this. Animation quality, animation quality, animation quality, animation quality, animation quality. This show is just better on all of these individual points, leading to the brilliant creation of a superior standalone anime. If you've been out on an alcohol trip because we've established you have a problem and don't know the plot of JK, it's that there's a high school student called Yuji who joins Jujutsu sorcerers to kill Sukuna, the king of curses, who now lives inside his body because Yuji ate one of his fingers like the disgusting ingrate that he is. And we see a clash between these evil curses and the sorceress to maintain the balance between the supernatural world with cursed energy and the normal world of some shit look. Sorcerers, curses, fantasy world with superpowers, insane and overpowered bad curses, insane and overpowered kinda good, sometimes bad guys. It's very character driven, whilst Naruto is very plot driven, so not similar at all. Let's talk about Gojo now, because he's the counterpoint to Sukuna. I mean, people say that Yuji is the antithesis to Sukuna, but I think of them as having more of a toxic uncle/nephew relationship than opposites attract type thing going on, where they want to kill each other but can't. Gojo is a fucking Chad. Unlike Kakashi, he's not negative and depressing as shit, but he's actually a really cool guy that basically does whatever the fuck he wants, whenever the fuck he wants. No one can stop him from doing it because he has what's commonly referred to as overpowered main character syndrome. But he's not the main character. Like I was saying, every time he shouts domain expansion, the domain of every viewer automatically expands as he fucks every cursed demon thing in a 5,000 mile radius with this insane aura. The title of this show could really just be called Gojo fucks every curse's domain by expanding its long range, broad and deep energy whilst looking like a daddy at the same time. Yeah, you're right, it's too long in it. Not gonna lie, one thing I'm really impressed by is how creative the supernatural abilities are in this anime. It's so creative that just like fake Naruto, I still don't understand it fully. I mean, they use cursed energy and they've got monsters popping up out of nowhere. Sukuna just slices things most of the time. The other characters use random attacks at random times, but it leads to incredible animation and breathtaking visuals. So I don't really give a shit about how it works. On the contrary, not explaining it actually makes it harder for fanboys to take it apart in the comment section and leaves a lot of mystery and positive surprises for the audience when they're displayed. I can seriously appreciate that we don't know which direction this anime will go in at any moment. One second you're chilling with your mates, next second you're getting ripped apart and screaming in pain. One second you're fighting insane monsters, the next second your heart's getting ripped out, and the next second you're alive and running around. Everything in the show, it just works. And whilst those events obviously didn't happen the way I said, you get the point of the show. Comedy, action, visuals, and random scenes flow beautifully together, like when you dip your nachos in Coke and everyone looks at you with scorn, disgust, and slight murderous intent, but you eat it anyway. This show is a fresh take on the shonen genre, and whilst it doesn't compare to something like Full Metal Alchemist in terms of storytelling and world building, or does it? No, it doesn't. But it does take the top spot of shonen in at least the modern era. The tropes are all there, except for the fact that Yuji and his uncle might sort of slightly unknowingly be related biologically, or it's just an insane coincidence that Yuji is a natural superhuman. But that's just a theory, an anime theory, and I was just trying to mention how weird this anime actually is. When you peel back the layers of the show, you're genuinely intrigued by just how weird everything is. Things seem to make sense until you really think about them. Like tournament arcs, then Sukuna's fingers, then random curses, then random Sukuna fingers, then the parents all being secretly related, and forgetting all about certain characters involved at the start of the show. This is what happens when you skip the manga and watch only anime like I do, and this is something solo leveling anime fans are going to realize. The arcs will be shortened down to fit the story and the deadlines. It's just how it is, whether we like it or not. That's the reason it seems like everything's moving so quickly, which it clearly is. So whilst I can understand the disappointment of some Reddit frequenters, the fast pacing of the show is just something we'll have to get used to. This means that some explanations and certain important deviations from the story will be made. But to be fair, it's not all bad. The fast pace of the anime actually made it one of its special and fun features. Now whilst I'm enjoying this show and moving through the story pretty rapidly, something's starting to become clearer and clearer. And I should have noticed this from the first episode of the anime. Literally nothing is being resolved. The fast pacing is fun, but at the same time, I don't know how to feel about a world where only the surface level aspects are being discussed. For example, in Naruto, the nine-tailed fox was part of a bigger and more complicated world that involved various parts of the story and many characters like the Akatsuki, Madara, and Kaguya. I mean, everything after that was just filler and money-making useless plotlines. But this anime feels like it's filled with cool-looking fillers without any background explanation. Like, who the fuck is Sukuna? Why is he the way he is? I understand that being nothing but evil is kinda cool, but if we're gonna stick with him for the entire story, surely we get something deeper. And the truth is, being pure evil like Frieza is one thing, but we all know we're gonna get the classic Yuji teaches Sukuna about love and he regrets his life or some shit, Kurama style. I mean, it's not even a spoiler, it's right in front of us, a baby could see it. This leads to one of the issues of a show with this type of style. No one actually gives a shit about the characters. Look, this anime is fantastic, and pointing out a few flaws isn't gonna get me a lot of hate, right? This is a friendly space, I can already hear you typing slows on your keyboard, but can you really say that you'd be sad if anyone died? Yeah, we'd miss the cool action sequences, but would you really miss them as people? There is little character development and a massive lack of complexity to the show. Say whatever the fuck you want about Naruto and its disgustingly obsessive use of fillers, but if you watch it, start to finish, you feel genuinely sad to stop watching the characters. You feel proud of the protagonist who you grew up with. You feel happy to see them married and starting families. Now do the same kind of analysis with Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, Nobara was practically kicked off the show, she had such little presence. Who was her family? Why is she relevant? If we took her out of the story, would it change anything? Speaking of impact and development, Yuji's main power is magical martial arts. It's pretty similar to Dragon Ball, but my question is, the setup of the world shows us that the power system is one of the most creative things we've ever seen. It makes little sense, but that allows for extreme experimentation, similar to how before Naruto became the shitfest that it did with the power scaling at the end. They were using creative methods to win battles like gravity, lasers, shuriken, sharingan, byakugan, main character syndrome. What's the point of making the protagonist just a superpowered martial artist when you had millions of avenues to explore? Even with the fast pacing, I want to see deeper world building, and not like 500 episodes worth of dragged out dialogues, but a little more than what we got. See, solo leveling had to trim it down to as much as it has because of how simplistic the world is, allowing us to focus on the good shit, meaning the fight scenes. But when the world is as deep and as interesting as JK, it's worthwhile to go into it. Clans, curses, a variety of extraordinary characters with incredible abilities, events occurring prior to the beginning of the story, a varied set of relationships between everyone. There are so many dynamics that could have been focused on, leading to a story that's beyond just cool arcs. Let's be real, whilst all shows could technically be better, we should ask ourselves if this means that this anime is of less quality than what everyone's saying. Nah, it might not go down in history as the deepest show of all time, but fuck me sideways, it's fun as shit. It's always enjoyable to see creative explosions on screen. Come on, you know you're addicted to this shit. I would watch a rock bouncing on the ground a million times if it meant it was animated like this. Just like we could all watch anime scenes of cooking, one day I'm going to try food like that. When AI becomes real, forget waifus or fake friends. I need to try some of that AI generated anime food. Until then, let's just enjoy some high quality anime action in the form of Jujutsu fucking Kaisen. Till next time.